Hi everyone, this is the Kubeflow community Kubeflow notebooks meeting for the February the 6th of 2025. So we're going to be meeting weekly now. Not everyone has to come every time, obviously, but it's helpful if people do, especially if you're actively working on tasks. So next week is the next meeting this time. Same time. If people have serious problems with this time, also we can discuss that, but let's discuss that kind of offline. Okay, so bearing in mind that we need to be compatible with West Coast US, which this is about as early as you can go in the West Coast US. It's at 8 a.m. And also East Coast US, and also I guess other places around the world that are contributing, which there's quite a few places at the moment. So okay, so I guess let's start with we'll go over some introductions because there's some new people who have expressed an interest in joining to contribute. Then we're going to go through some of the important issues that are going that like when I'm saying important, I mean like things that are blocking the release in some way, or just that have to be assigned to someone, so that we have to make sure that someone is working on them. Then we'll just go through what each person's working on right now, and then we might do the UI designs first, but we'll see which order this goes in. Okay. Cool. So introductions. So I think there was a couple of new faces. So if you're comfortable talking on a video or just voice, that'd be great. Hi, people. Yeah,
Right.
Mona?
Hi.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. So I just was waiting. I didn't know if
Yeah,
there
sorry,
are
I just should have
there's
said
or
your name,
not.
sorry.
Okay. So hi, everybody. I am Mona Borham. I'm like an independent contractor as cloud native applications as a platform architect. Prior to that, I worked with VMware, where I really got the chance to first experience with Kubeflow in 2022. And since then, I have a huge interest because this is the de facto standard for machine learning or like the abstraction layer for the machine learning developers on top of Kubernetes. And I'm happy to be here. According to our conversation last time from the Kubeflow main meeting, I came here because there was a request for like there are things to do with Go, especially in controllers. So I have a huge interest to contribute in this area. Happy
Thank
to be
you.
here. Thanks.
Awesome. And to be
I
I
can
just
go.
want to clarify for each person as well. Like, so is this just like a volunteering thing that you're doing, or are you authorized by your
Yeah, it's
company and everything?
volunteering. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, just
exactly.
making sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my contribution to the community. Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And someone else wanted to put their hand up. I think Christian, was it?
Yeah, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hi, my name is Christian Vogt. I'm an engineer at Red Hat. I work with Eder and Jenny. I just started looking more into the UI for the model registry, and some of the work that we do there is going to help to contribute to Notebooks 2.0.
Cool.
So I'm just joining in here to see, get updates and see what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. Anyone else want to, you can, if you want to ask specifically, you can either raise your hand or type which there's a button on the chat which lets you do that, or just type in the chat if you're not comfortable talking. Otherwise, we'll just quickly move on to important issues. Okay. Yep. Oh, someone?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to just follow up on that. I'm also, yeah, folks who haven't met me yet, I'm Jenny. I'm also an engineer at Red Hat, just jumping in on the Notebooks 2.0 effort as well. And yeah, excited to be here and contributing.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, cool. I'll give one more call out for anyone. Just so that people know who they're working with. It's kind of fun to, see people faces and everything.
For the community, I'm working. Christian is the one that I'm more working together to create the shared library for the web components, and soon we're going to do a proposal for the community to share components between the model registry and Notebook Shurato.
Also, I mean, probably everyone here knows who I am. I probably should just say hi. I'm the lead of the notebooks working group right now. It's complicated as to whether there's another one, but people are quite busy who are the other leads. I did design Notebooks 2.0, but it's very fun to have this many people interested and companies interested in contributing to it. So I'm excited to have that workload shared as we kind of have people up to speed as well, so that I'm not the one blocking everything. Obviously, Eder can approve things on the front end. Right now, it is still just me on the back end and the controller, but I would like to get more people as we get people, so there's an opportunity for people to get approver on the parts of the project as well once we get once everyone's up to speed and kind of agreed on how things work. Of course, for the front end as well, Eder and I can discuss who should have approver there as well. But and the normal kind of flow there to get approver in Kubernetes and Kubeflow kind of world is you normally start off as a reviewer. So the way that PRs work is that theoretically 3 people should be looking at it, every PR at least. So the way it works is that someone raises a PR, someone reviews the PR and LGTMs it. Kind of looks good to me. Which starts which is like they're a reviewer. Multiple people can do that as well if it's a complicated PR. And then someone who's an approver, who's like kind of understands how things fit together in the code base, can approve it and kind of confirm things work. But really big changes when you're not dealing with pre-release software like what we're doing here, normally you would have kind of a proposal as well, like an issue where you discuss what the change is going to be, especially if it's big. So that I just wanted to highlight that. So to get the reviewer, everyone can review, but reviewers get automatically assigned issues based off where the code is. So that's why you would want to be listed as a reviewer. And normally to get to approver, with some exceptions, you normally have to go through a reviewer first. That's just usually how it works. An approver, people can actually get code in. You know, that's kind of the idea, allow code in. And for other lead type things, we should probably figure out how we're going to elevate more people to lead roles, but that's a separate discussion. Okay, cool. So let's go through some of these important issues. So what I've done is I've kind of split it into overall, which is like for Notebooks 2.0 specifically, just only related to notebooks, but overall, got controller related issues and tasks, backend related issues, which is the REST API, and front end, which is obviously the front end. So the overall ones that I just want to make sure that we're tracking.
Matthew,
so these, yeah.
Can I just do a small comment before we jump into the tests? Yeah, there is a bunch of tests here that there is open scope. So please, before jumping and sending a pull request for us to review, open a thread either on the Slack channel, start to discuss with us to have agreement on the design, on how those pieces fit together. Then
like
we
an issue,
promote.
Yeah,
or we
an
can
issue.
create an issue and then maybe start discussing this in an issue, a proposal, or in a Slack channel, and then we can follow up and just then jump on the implementation, please. Just for, as Matthew says, to us to make sure that everything fits as we are planning.
Also, yeah, like we're trying to assign people things as importance because not everything needs to be worked on right now here, but like everything here is critical. So like the overall ones are actually probably still the most important ones, although they are probably the most complicated tasks. So it might end up falling to Eder and me and other ones who are familiar with the code base, but other people are welcome to help here or give ideas if we've got other ones. So we really need a way to do local development outside of kind for every piece. And so this is connected to end-to-end testing. But like, I just wanted to really highlight this one. We won't go through each of them in detail, but I just want to highlight this one because there is a discussion here. So in external secrets, which I've been working on as well, which is another CNCF project, they use a thing called tilt, which lets you effectively have a run any number of containers in a Kubernetes cluster and then hot swap out the Go runtime. So effectively, rather than having to rebuild images, which is a big problem for us because we have webhooks, validating webhooks. So otherwise, it's very difficult to run a development version of the webhook without building a full container image, deploying it to the cluster, and things like that. So pretty much we can just lift the design that External Secrets has used, I believe. But I just wanted to highlight that I think this is critical because it enables everything from, it's mostly around the backend and the controller, but the front end, we can also probably do the same idea as well. And effectively, this is about making it so that you can go, make tilt up on each of the 3 components and then be running a fully local, not local, but like representative of your local development environment version of the entire code base. So that includes, running the controller with the validation webhooks, submitting the versions of the CRDs you've got there, and then running the REST API, but it's still running in the cluster, so it doesn't require kind. That's the cool part, because with kind, you have to load the images in. Whereas with this, you just kind of start with a blank base image and it loads the Go runtime in, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. So if no one else picks it up, I'll probably figure out that one, but I just wanted to highlight that. We talked a bit about the design, on this meeting here, which I'll just quickly show on the screen, but effectively we kind of this kind of, well, actually, this is more about the development testing. But effectively, we need to set up some make scripts that allow you to run on a local cluster. Okay. Not kind cluster, I mean. Okay, and then the other one is end-to-end testing, which is critical for everyone at some point, because once we have the ability to end-to-end connect everything, not everything is at that point yet, it's really important to make sure regressions don't happen, because a lot of stuff is not testable with unit tests. Like in the backend, for example, we only test API caller handlers. We're not in the unit test. We're not testing, I can't make sure that invalid things fail in the same way. You know, like certain failures, like I added a limiter for the byte size. You know, we can't test that without actually running it, you know. So I just want to highlight that. Okay, and so for the controller, these ones are really important. So these ones are ones for people who are interested in contributing Go and have controller experience. Some people have made PRs for them already, but they've either been abandoned to some extent or just we've not had time to review them. So, but they do need a lot of work. So the virtual service reconciliation is pretty trivial. It's just adding in like effectively it's not there right now to prevent people using Notebooks 2.0, but I think we could probably at the point now where we should add it in, which is just the virtual service is just like the way that it actually connects to Kubeflow, and when you start a notebook, it actually is accessible. So everything else but that is done there. But there's also the other one, which is probably more interesting, which is the culling controller, which lets you which is the probe for activity and stuff. But so these are the two ones that if people like Mona are interested in contributing, I can help you get up to speed on one of those issues. I'd say the virtual service is probably simpler for you to get across the code base first, because it's just like, okay, adding a new reconcile. But then this one is, it is more complicated because it's about probing the thing with bash scripts and things. Okay, cool.
Okay.
And for the backend, so Eder, do you know when this would be able to be done for you? So this is critical as well, which is what allows. This is just very simply is just when you call the API from the front end, you need to be able to say to the backend, who am I acting as right now? And are they allowed to do this thing? So for example, if they're trying to create a new notebook, the API obviously shouldn't allow them to create a notebook in a namespace they don't have access to and things like that. So
Yeah, my hope is to finish this for the next meeting. Just send up a request.
and you're just doing it through middleware only.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Because that doesn't conflict with my thing.
Yep.
So then
it's just for the middleware.
Yeah, and so this is the only other, so we did a big PR on the back end, which redid some of the JSON payloads, but there's one last one which is for create and update. First, I'm just going to do create, but just right now we're using the same object as is returned by the API for creates, which is obviously silly because the user, the caller, the front end shouldn't need to shouldn't need to put empty fields in for things like statuses, which obviously they're not about creating a new notebook. That's about information. So we're going to create a separate type of object that you can pass in the JSON payload for that. Validation of JSON payloads. So this is something I think we should only do for creates, obviously, because it's not really, nothing else is passed as a JSON payload. I found this, this official Go playground validator, which lets you write these struct tags, as they're called, kind of like the JSON ones on the objects. So we can, similar to how Kubernetes CRDs let you do that. So we'll probably implement that as well, which just want to highlight the reason for that is because in Go, most of the time when you're serializing it to JSON, you can actually have empty fields when you shouldn't be able to have empty fields. And HTTP paths, someone's already got that. That's just making some validation. This one is obviously useful for the front end. We need to be able to get the logs from the pods. I don't know why this is twice. Okay. Pod template, that's just straightforward. We have to think about what that means, but okay. Activity. Oh, and there's one other one here, which is, I'll put it up here as well, which is add workspace actions API calls. So like this one is also critical. So if you have Go experience, this one also is useful, which is some of the workspace actions are stateful actions that the UI can initiate are stateful, e.g. restarting plus update, restart plus no update, things like that. And so like the API should probably be managing those rather than the front end, so that there's like just a single post call that, like, I don't know how we should structure it, whether we can discuss that, whether it should wait until it returns, or whether it should just initiate an action on the resource, and that kind of, or we could not do that. I guess, does anyone have any opinions about that, whether the front end should be managing these stateful things or not? Because I just want to prevent the front end from, because the front end is running on the user side, right? I think it's safer if we just like initiate an action, then block future actions of the same kind until it's finished doing whatever it's doing. Because especially once we get to workspace kinds that are not pod templates, the VMs could take a really long time to do things, and even pods could take a while to do things. So like, yeah, that's just, I think we should have a new kind of body payload actions kind of REST call. Anyone disagree with that, or front end people?
Front end should be stateless.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And so would you like have a polling thing for like the status of actions, you think?
We need to implement this some
Like
sort
post
of polling.
body with stateful actions, and then have a like
WebSocket is a way to do this.
oh yeah, but we also have like ID of the action returned, and then like some kind of post to check that, or maybe I don't know. But then we need a database if we do that. Yeah, it's more like
It might like keep polling usually to see when the action.
But then the problem is,
finishes.
if we store an ID, we will need to store that ID somewhere, right? In the
No, not to start the ID. Is like the on client keep polling until finish it. Or with
no,
the
but
WebSocket.
something. Yeah, I guess yeah. We'd have to think about that. Like, a question is where to store state in the backend, e.g. in memory only, question mark, because the backend could also get force restarted and we lose, what's happening.
Yes, yeah. And this would be my follow-up question, is that because we need to probably block the others clients from other web browsers, right? Seeing the same resource while action is happening.
Because we also could do this in the controller and instead have this be like a temporary annotation, or like an effectively have an annotation with the using a annotation which this is problematic though from GitOps perspective, but like that gets removed once it's finished or something, or maybe because there isn't really an idea in Kubernetes for like a temporary request effectively, other than a CRD which gets deleted. So I guess that's really a lot of work to do, but I guess we could do it with a CRD. Or there is sub resources. You can make custom sub resources, annotation or sub resource that tells that's probably what we should do to do the state. Because like, for example, I think a really obvious one just for people to understand that's really complicated in the future, that really only the controller could manage, is stuff like, oh, I want to migrate this VM from one kubevert node to another, and it could take a really long time to do that. And so it needs to look at what's happening and do other things. But anyway, okay, validation, testing payloads. I don't know why that we already did that. Okay, and that's all fine. Front end now. So who wants to talk about these ones? Do you want to go through these ones, Eda? Because I didn't write most of these.
Yeah, Paul.
Other than the details one. Yeah.
Yeah, I can go over it. I wrote most of them there. The first one.
That was my one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you wrote the notes, but in the PR, if you want to open the PR, I recorded
we'll do it later.
video.
Yeah, we won't go through this unless we'll review this later, because this is like actually a thing we should review. But we're just kind of overviewing the important issues right now.
Okay, so the first one is about adding the checkbox on each line of the table and having the drawer for the details. When one workspace is selected is the details for that workspace, and when multiple are selected, you can see a drawer with bulk actions for all the selected workspaces.
So yeah, did we kind of decide on pop over or under, or how that works?
Yeah, so this is one of your notes, I believe. So we could decide that. The way that is done right now is the table is reducing the width, so it's not over it. But I could try to do the horizontal scroll approach and record a video for us to see if it's better.
There's also like the other reason is that if we want the details page to be able to be an entire screen, because it might need to be quite big sometimes, or whether we just want to have it only on the side and then have another pop-up that can happen for really big things, you know what I mean? It could be many layers otherwise. But my thought process was that if we leave the table as it is and then have kind of an over kind of like hang, I don't know how to describe it, like an overhang that then kind of can be collapsed to the sidebar, like, it like popped like a flyover.
Like
Flyover, I think, is the word. I think flyover is the word, right? Is it? But I don't know how the thing is, I'm not super familiar with if that's like a confusing pattern or not, but I think that right now jutting over it is probably worse. But I don't know. Anyway, we can discuss that later. Okay. Yep. So do you want to go through the rest of these?
Okay, the start, restart, stop. The PR is almost done. It's the one we discussed last meeting about the pop-ups with the redirect information for images and pod configs.
If people are recording videos, please do it in like 16:9 or 16:10 or something, because it's gonna be quite hard to see otherwise. But yeah, so effectively what this is about is just restart prompt will prompt the user with, so a restart could just be a restart, or it could be an update as well, kind of like when you're restarting Windows. You either need to be able to defer the update that the admin is asked for. Right now, there's no way for an admin to force an update. We will talk about doing that in a future release, but initially there won't be. So it will just be warning the user this update will happen when you next restart. And then the front end needs to be able to manage that stateful situation, which is that a user has requested a restart with no update, then the front end needs to set a particular flag, or rather than it managing that flag, maybe it needs to use the action thing to do it. But cool. Okay, so yeah.
And then the fetch workspace from the backend is to replace a few mocks that we have currently on the front end with the real call to the backend to get the list for our workspaces.
So yeah, and please, if you're working on, whoever works on, is someone specifically working on this? Is it you or?
Yeah, it's PR open. It's Yehud.
Who is that one?
Sorry about my pronunciation, but yeah.
You can say something. So like we won't go through your PR specifically, but just if you run into problems where like something could be a better structure, like we did a bit of restructuring in the latest PR to the backend, but if you disagree with something or just think, oh, that would be better if I had some information there that I'm currently having to calculate, please just tell us so that the backend can do it for you. So for example, right now, oh, actually we didn't do this, but like we should put some examples there. But oh, that's another thing. Opening out. Oh, let me just put that. Generate Swagger file for API. That is critical, I think. Actually, that's not front end. That's back end.
We should do that back end, right?
Yeah, that's back end. I'll put that under the create update because I think it's probably in that kind of order. Okay, let me just copy that. Okay, and then there is someone who tried to do it, but I don't know how. I think it was maybe an AI generated PR that they did. I don't think it was a real one. It's a bit weird. This is hard, so we need to think about how we're doing this, trying to automate it. Like we need to think of a low maintenance way to document the API and get a Swagger UI output so that we can create a Swagger page both on the service itself and maybe and on the Kubeflow website.
Can you add a note here, Matthew, for the person that work with this, ping me, because we need to do the same for the backend in the model registry.
Didn't you already make that though? You've got one. I created a website.
They do that for the model registry API.
Yes.
But we need to do something for the backend. That is the BFF there for the front end automated tests.
Oh, is that not the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. It's two different APIs.
I see.
But
yes.
that one that you made is the right one. That is the public one.
Yes.
But we have an open API in the BFF internally that you use for the front end. Just put a note to talk with Eder here.
Talk to Eder because the BFF for model registry also needs to do something similar.
And we should do the same. Yeah, we should let's do design together.
No, I'll just put another note too here, which is that technically the backend REST API is not a public API, so there is no guarantees, but it would be useful for our currently, we might change this. But for our dev purposes, it will help to have it documented. And this is just always like whenever you're developing anything, even if it's not required, like it's good to pretend like you're exposing a service to another team, just because especially when you're in open source, when you may not be able to talk to everyone straight away. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. What I was trying to show everyone, the reason I got sidetracked was I just wanted to show the example of the payload for whoever was building this thing, is that so the list workspace kinds looks like this. This shouldn't be necessary for your overview page. I mean, maybe it is, but it's probably more for your create spawner view, which kind of lists things. And I tried to structure it a little bit more sensibly. Definitely, there might be bugs in here that like things might be empty when they shouldn't be. And for workspaces, it looks more like this, which is an element where at the root you've got name, namespace, but then you've got information about the logos and the kind, which we can add more here if you're interested in that. This is a relative to the backend API is kind of what that's meant to be. Then, but it's always consistent. So you don't actually need to look at it if you don't need to. Okay, someone's just we'll come back to that, but someone's just commenting about the model registry API is not, I'll just read it out. Just pointing out, there's not my voice, but someone else is saying it.
No, yeah, this is Alessio from model registry. Yeah, they in their model registry right now on the model registry backend, not the BFF, they auto-generate with something that they come to the Alessio is right. That's why we need on the BFF we need a different way to do this.
Yeah, it's very difficult because of the way that we're doing the API is less defined. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So it might need to be in like a comment above each handler or something.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I have the notes here of how we do this, but we can work. What I mean is that the person that want to work on this, we can work in a proposal for both, and then we can have the both projects doing the same. And not talk about the model registry. We are talking about the BFF and model registry and notebooks.
Okay, cool. I mean, anyway, so what I was just highlighting for the person who's making this and for everyone is that the API right now will return, for the most interesting things, it returns these state and state message, which are independent of the backend state definition. So they don't have to be the same. They are the same right now. But they're hard coded. So this would include potentially a very big string with information about what caused that state message, including errors. Whereas there's like 6 defined codes that it could be. I didn't nest it because it just saves JSON size, but we could nest it under a section called like status, but I don't know, because some of the other ones they're not really structured the same as the front end, because this is a details, that's right, as the controller. So this is like a details view. So I've included information under redirects. I didn't actually put it here, but like there's information about redirects. I should have shown it, which you see current only here, but there's another field called desired and redirect chain, which can appear if there's a redirect. So I probably should have shown that, but that's useful for you to extract out when you're doing the restart, for example. Getting that information. But yeah, so we just changed the structure slightly. Okay, sorry, Polo, and the next one.
Yeah, the workspace redirect status column is also a PR almost done. It's to add a column with an icon representing the redirect status related to danger warning and info status. Similar to the discussion we had about the start, restart, and stop pop-ups.
Oh, yes. Interesting. Interesting. So where are you expecting to get this information?
Well, I would say probably the worst, the most critical status on the redirect list.
Because like what I was more intending was that this kind of message is on the restart page, but then this message is just warning you, is there an update pending? There's like a list of like warnings for this notebook or workspace. And so like, it doesn't need to tell you about the level, right? It's more like there is a update pending just as like a yellow icon, as any update pending is like that. And then once you start the update, it's kind of like when you go on Windows and it's like, hey, there's an update waiting. It doesn't tell you what it is, but it's like
just a flag.
Yeah, and then we could have I was thinking like other kind of status messages we might have in the future might be like, this one is operating near its capacity, or other kind of, this something, you know what I mean? Just like something like the question is, it's more like maybe there should be a section in the in the row, which is just for warnings, you know what I mean? Effectively, like just like, and then we could have either icons, like iconography for them, or we could just initially only have kind of does it need a restart right now, or is it okay? Well, because the question is, should it be separate from the status one? Because there should be a status one either way, which is returned. We talked about this, the API gives you back a status and state message. And so like, we need to also expose potentially a very large amount of text in the state message as well to the UI. So clicking on it maybe should give you a pop-up or something, but yeah, it's just thinking about that. Because like it's not really, it's more like that might be an icon for like a failing one, but it's like there should be a status icon. Actually, that's really important. There should be a status icon and the update pending. But the question for everyone is, those two things are independent, right? Like something can have an update pending when it's failed. You know what I mean? Because the worker it's on the cluster might not have enough resources to run the pod, but yet it is pending an update as well. Maybe that's the reason it doesn't have enough resources, because the admin has turned off that node. You know, like something to that effect. But because and they've changed the pod config to use a different type of GPU that you now have. I don't know. But so that's kind of what I was thinking about here. Because we don't already have a status, right? Like, yeah, we don't. No.
No, not right now.
So yeah, that would be directly pulled from this state. Sorry, it's not status, it's state. State is the word we're using. But
okay, so we can use the state and put a message on the tooltip for now.
Yeah, and we don't have. But actually, this is something interesting. So right now, the redirects are not included anywhere up here for you. You have to look at the options and then check if there's a desired thing set. Because if it's the same as the current, then it will just be duplicate. It would not. It doesn't exist here because it's a duplicate. Also, we maybe don't need to include the labels because there could be thousands of labels, so that might make the return bigger than it needs to be. But it's just a question as to what you want to do there. So yeah, we'll remove fields people don't end up needing. But like, so if there's a desired thing here, you'll see the exact target. So then the desired is like the final result of after all the redirects, and then there'll be a list of redirect chains as well, which only includes source to target with display names, I think. Or maybe it includes labels as well, I need to check. But so that might duplicate things way too much is what I'm saying. So that's why we might not need to include the labels. But
okay, so this would be for the pop-ups that we were
as
talking
well
about, right?
as as well as a secondary status or state kind of maybe warning, which is like, I was thinking just like some kind of, there is an update pending. I don't know what iconography you could use there, but it's effectively so that when you look at the overview table, the goal is that the user can say, which is, sometimes there might be things pending updates for a long time, but just that there is an update pending, and then when you click on it, it should tell you a little bit about what it is, and then offer you to restart. You know what I mean?
Okay, so the state won't reflect that.
Not at all. Not at all. No.
Okay.
Because the state is about it's kind of whether it's healthy or not. Like whether the thing is like, so the possible states are it's not worth going to, but like the states are like things like is it healthy, is it currently spawning, is there an issue with the pod, and it will sometimes depend on the kind of workspace kind, but so that's the most important information for the user. Like, and also we'll say paused once it's successfully paused.
Okay, and do you think this warning icon should reflect both sources
I think
of
it should be two
information?
columns. I think it should be not two
Two
columns,
columns.
but like two icons. That I don't know how to structure it and making it look good, but like it should be surfaced on the top level so that there's like, maybe it's on the right hand side for the restart warning. I don't know, like near where that is. But the status, we can think. Well, I don't know which side it should be on, but it doesn't really matter right now. But
yeah, I was just thinking if we could use only one icon for our general warning, and then in the description either reflect the state or the redirect, like the pending update information.
yeah, so
Not the
like
same.
so definitely so the two things that are important to know is that the state has information about it, and we should be surfacing that to the user once they click on it. And rather than just surfacing it in like a a highlight pop-up, I think it should be quite a big pop-up, that can handle a lot of text. And like maybe a pop over or something. I don't know like what would look best there when you wave over it, kind of similar to what I'm meaning by that is like on the Kubeflow website, we added a like one of these, I mean, it could look like this maybe. That for either of them, maybe. I'm not sure. Popper, I think this is called.
Yeah, I don't know the name, but it's on mouse hover, right?
Yeah, it's on mouse over. Yeah, so something like that might work for both of them, even for both of them. But maybe not. I don't know. Then when you click it, maybe something should happen for the state one, nothing, because there's nothing really there. But for the restart one, maybe it should prompt you, or do you want to restart? Let me pop up that restart view, like that's why maybe the restart one should be its own one. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, and what was the details tab one? Yep. Or is that this
Yeah,
one?
this one is the pod template tab inside the details drawer. Last meeting we discussed about having a code editor showing the workspace YAML,
Cool.
which is that.
That's great. Awesome.
So the
That looks
PR is
great.
open and under review.
Awesome. So yeah, this is more of like a for the debugging kind of things, I think. Because I guess also so that you can like back it up, you know what I mean? So that admin users can back it up, you know, if they want to do that. The question, I guess, is should we show the status here as well? Maybe. Probably. Probably.
And the status is on the workspace CR.
Oh, and there's another thing to realize is that from my experience with Argo CD, if you just get the return from the API, which is what this will probably be, is you'll get a lot of fields there that are meaningless to the user. Like so usually you have to have like a button to like filter or unfilter known kind of machine fields. Like even showing the annotations can be a lot, but and another thing I wanted to highlight is that we want to have like arrow icons here that say like, oh, collapse this section, you know, just because they can get quite big sometimes.
Yeah, the
Especially-
backend should do this filtering, right? And the front end just ask like with
Well,
a
maybe-
filter parameter. Yeah, with the backend could do this filtering, and the front end just pass a parameter.
Yeah, I guess that's possible. And then especially if we're caching the front end, it probably is better. But like, because sometimes
Yep.
you do want to see things like, you know, that something is going wrong with one of those machine fields, you know. But
But what I mean is that the front end should not be worried about to do this cleanup. Like just call the backend with
it could though. That's what so Argo CD does that on the front end. But
the problem is that if they change, if something change in the CRD, we need to change in 3 points.
oh no. So when I'm talking about machine fields, I don't mean anything related to us. I mean machine fields are related to Kubernetes itself. So like effectively, there's a metadata field called field like owner references, and
But the spawner fields as well should not appear here, right?
What do you mean?
Because there come some status fields on the workbench.
Yeah, we can debate whether that's what I'm saying. We can debate whether the status should be there, but there's no risk to sending it to the user. But yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Okay, anyway, that's pretty good. So I'm assuming this is just mocked up for now either way. So the only thing that I would say, we don't need to do it immediately, but what I'd love to get here is some kind of arrow to collapse, kind of like Argo CD does, or any other viewer, or IntelliJ, PyCharm, whatever, or VS Code, just because some of these can get quite big. Not this one, obviously. And the other one would be, yeah, some ability to, once we start sending it from the real API, you'll have to manipulate the YAML slightly, maybe. We might need a YAML front-end package, or we need to do it in the front end for you. So I'm not sure. Cool. Okay, workspace creation UI, obviously this one's pretty important, so.
Yeah, this is, I'm starting to implement the mockups that I sent you on the Slack. It's not on GitHub. I didn't paste the image there, but I can put on the issue. But basically the idea is to create the skeleton of the wizard and parallelize a few of those steps so more people can join the task as well.
Cool, yeah, so this is obviously the main action. When you're designing it, make sure it's like reusable for the, unless we want to do a completely different flow for the update, you know what I mean? I don't know if you, how you want to, like, because there'll be two versions of it. One which is like a pre-populated field, and actually make it so that it's possible to pre-populate for another reason, which is that users might want to, admins might want to, like we might want to have like, you know, that's like an export kind of thing, and then an upload, you know, like the YAML, instead of creating it manually, you kind of populate a template almost, you know, which obviously that's kind of what we're doing structurally, but I don't know, maybe it makes sense for when someone's got like a test environment or something. That doesn't, yeah, it's probably not the greatest feature, but I can imagine situations where there would need to be pre-populated spawner flows even for create, you know, that's what I'm just thinking. Oh, actually,
yeah, sure, we can do in a reusable manner for the update as well.
And then we could also then structure it so that query parameters, so you can link someone like a pre-create with this kind of link, maybe, you know? So I don't know. I'm not sure if we should have that or not. It's an idea.
Hey.
like
It can be done.
anyway, this the idea of being able to pre-populate the spawner should probably be there. You know what I mean? And then there should be a concept of right now we're not allowing updating a kind. It is technically allowed in the controller right now. There's nothing preventing it. But it's more for once we move to VMs, it's not going to be safe to allow updating a kind. You know what I mean? So like of an existing workspace, because we might be doing backups or other things like that for the user. So we really don't want if you know a pod template kind workspace kind is going to be a completely different process to run that to a VM one of a Kubeflow one. So it's like updating shouldn't allow changing the kind, but anyway, so you'll see that when you see the update API anyway. Okay. Cool. Anyone else got any other front-end things we really want to keep tracking? So of these ones, which ones are in, most of these are in PR review, but so okay, cool. So I want to go through these, not these issues, but like we need to make sure that we've got things for people to work on. So let's start by, do you want to add anything more before we move on to the going through what everyone's doing? And we won't ask everyone in the same way that we did last time. We'll just kind of, I'll just get a quick kind of check what people are doing. Next time, we'll probably ask people to put their notes in before the meeting starts. But Paulo, do you have any other front-end issues you want to draw attention to?
No, I added all that I had in mind.
Cool. Okay, so we don't want to go through everyone again like we did last time. It was a bit inefficient. But what I want to try and do is make sure that everyone who wants to have tasks or needs tasks has something and is not blocked by something. So I don't know the best way to do that, but next time, probably what we should do is send out those 3 questions before the meeting and say like and maybe people can do it in the Slack, you know, maybe we do that. And then people can respond in the thread to their questions. So, but for now, I guess let's start by just getting a list of the names of people that should do that for next week. So like who is, so I guess there's, so I guess I want to know a couple of things, like, so resources. So for people who are working on it, like people working on NB 2.0 as part of job, you know what I mean? And like, so like people effectively full-time or similar on it, I want to make sure that you definitely have tasks, like volunteers, like I guess people working as volunteer or whatever, and other things. So okay, so Eder, I know obviously you might be working on other tasks at your job as well, but like, so I know Eder is working part of it on as part of his job. I'm kind of volunteering, but we'll just put me here, but like doing other things. It's kind of complicated. Okay, Paulo, I guess you're also working on it as part of your job?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go through other people. So, okay, feel free to edit your name in here. I'll paste it in the chat if people want. And then what I want to do is just go through and figure out what each of these people are working on. Okay. Okay, sure, why not? Let's go there. Okay, so Paulo, feel free to add your things. Oh yeah, Jenny, yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay, so other people. I'm just gonna ask, so obviously, and new people. Let's go, I'll put at the top, I'll put new people. Okay. And we'll try and get everyone a task. Okay. And so Christian, are you wanting tasks assigned to you, or we just?
Yeah, not at the moment.
Cool. For the people at the top, let's try and, so what kind of experience do you have? Like, it's out of interest. So like, you're a Go developer, front-end developer? You're front-end, right?
Developer for
Yeah.
myself.
Cool. And you only want to do front-end, you don't want to learn any back-end stuff? Or?
I will probably be touching some, but it's not my expertise.
Cool, that's fine. So mostly front-end stuff. Okay, then Mona, do you want to have assigned a task this week or something to look at?
Yeah,
at least?
of course. I look into these things as well as the end-to-end tests. So I actually contributed previously to the Knative project. So I already done a lot in the end-to-end testing of Knative serving. Like I was testing the like the controller very, very I was really busy testing, and I also contributed to a couple of things of issues right there of the reconciler, and yeah, I might help there as well as virtual service. I will take a look. I think this way I can do until next week, and I'll bring my questions either in Slack or
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
it should be pretty straightforward. Like if you have
Yeah.
any structural questions about like getting your head around how the controller is written, it's pretty normal. It's like if you've seen normal controllers, it's pretty normal. There's nothing super exotic happening. The virtual service is only complicated because you have to understand how Istio works. But if you've played with Knative, you
No,
probably
I
know.
worked with Istio.
Yeah, that's you probably know how Istio works because you've worked with Knative. So you're good.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so that issue probably describes enough for you to be able to do it then, actually.
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
But there is a PR here, but feel free to make a new one. This the guy was mostly learning how stuff works, so it might not yeah, anyway. Okay, cool. Let's
I'll let you know if I have any question.
cool.
Yeah.
Because that one's also only on the controller, so that's pretty
All
straightforward.
right.
Do you have any experience with tilt out of interest, or have you not touched that?
Not really, but I'll take a look.
Yeah, if you're
but,
interested in
like
helping,
this, like the development environment, of course, yes.
because
But
at the moment we're doing development by just writing unit tests effectively, and you can
Right.
also then do it at the end deploying.
I
But 'cause-
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Knative was the same. Like they done their there was a local environment as well as the end-to-end, but the end-to-end testing, they ran that in the CI/CD pipeline by initiating an environment in Google Cloud. I'm not sure if this possibility is
Oh,
available.
actually, sorry,
here.
controller. I take that back. Sorry, there is end-to-end testing on the controller, and so it can
Yeah.
run anywhere. It's designed so that it can run anywhere. So it runs on your
Right.
local environment, whatever that is. But
Okay.
it does need to be kind. It does need to be kind right now, but that's for end-to-end. But
Mm.
for and there's also unit tests as well that are running with env test.
Yeah, I know.
But with the end-to-end I'm talking about here is about like across the whole thing. So that's going to be really hard to do because we also haven't really got the possibility of doing that yet. But let's say the main one is about getting tilt for backend controller. And it's like this is just really cool as well. We can look at what they do with external
Sure.
reference. Actually, no, this one was reference could be the external secrets repo with their make tilt up target. You know, that's kind of this. Yeah, we can talk about that one later. But that you'll probably want to do this as you're developing anyway. So it's
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, virtual service, that's great. So if you can take a look at that, I'm happy to kind of point you in the right direction. So taking like pretty much, I'll put you as like onboarding to the controller design, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
to getting it running locally. And have you got Kubeflow running at all before?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you have. Perfect. Because
Yeah,
effectively,
I did.
what you can do to fully.
We deployed that for at VMware for 2,000 developers, for a client of ours. So
when you're doing the normal development, it's probably, even if you've got experience with, you know, I mean, I make deploy KF and things, but like if you've got experience with distributions, I don't recommend using them while developing. I recommend using the manifests just so that it's.
Yeah, of course, I'm using the manifest.
And 1.9.1 or later. Because the latest version, because we changed how the auth works quite a lot in that.
Okay.
Cool. But it's not necessary right now because the controller is literally, you just need to check, does the virtual service reconcile correct? That's all okay, other people. Okay, who else we got here? We got only 3 people so far on the thing. I will put this one here. Taking a look at the VS reconciliation. Okay, so other people, feel free to. We had lots of people last time, so are these people here? Any of these people live? LIAV and Yossi and
yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So are you working on it as part of your job or just fun?
Part of a job.
Cool, awesome. Let's put you in that section. LIAV. Okay, and then so what tasks have you? So add your tasks that you've been working on there and anything that you want to be working on, and so that we can just keep track of what's happening. Okay. And then yes, Yossi, assuming you have access to a computer right now. If you're on a phone, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, Yossi. Yossi, are you here? Maybe not. Okay. And we'll just move on with that one. And then I don't know. We'll just no. Okay. Then Yal. We talked a lot last time. Yeah. Okay. So yes. So also it's 9 a.m. in Pacific. So if someone needs, people are free to leave. Obviously, if you have things that you need to do. Cool. So what were you were working last time on? Oh, this reject invalid request thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Reject invalid HTTP parts in backend. And you're also designing this logs viewer. So did you have any, I will come back, actually that's interesting to know. Did you get any kind of information about that with the existing Red Hat stuff that might have pre-built components for such things?
So for the Open Data Hub, it's not built in Go, right, Heather? And as for exploring it, I did not have time this week I didn't progress with the notebook. I had other projects I need to progress with, so I did not have much progress yet. But I plan
fine.
to do it, yeah, next week.
Cool, yeah, because like we need to think about it from like the backend API, what we need to create for you.
Mm-hmm. The front end is ready, and I will take the backend task. I will open a thread in Slack and discuss it there, an issue as Heather suggested.
Yeah, someone might have actually created an issue for that already. Maybe they didn't. Once you do, just add it to the top here. But so yeah.
I didn't see one, but I will search.
Yeah, I don't think there is one. Okay, yeah, because we need to just figure out the design of that. You know, we talked a little bit about it. It could because it will impact how the front end works. Okay.
Yes.
Like raise issue to discuss how to structure the backend API for getting logs of pod. Okay, and the front end obviously is pretty much just, we can probably use the existing, and I guess front end we could talk about as well, but like, how to do front end view for pod logs, possibly just take the pattern fly thing they are using for Red Hat Data Hub stuff. Okay. Who knows?
It's already implemented, but I guess that if we'll do, it depends on how we will retrieve the logs from the backend. We might
we could
need
just
to
copy that. You
change.
know what I mean? Like we could just copy whatever their structure is. So if that works, I don't know if it does. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Hashab was asking for tasks. We'll come back to you in a second. So if you haven't got, which task do we talk about?
Yeah, I think I was out for a while, so I'm not really looked, but I think there is a pull request right open for the culling work. I can take a review on that.
So this one's really complicated. But I don't know how ready this PR is as well. Like,
yeah.
So
we have looked into the culling of V1. That's what I thought I can base the thing out of. Like I could check how much.
Quite different. So like there is a design to work to, but actually implementing it is somewhat complicated. So like there is like the design here, we kind of went back and forth on like, we're going to structure the status fields like this and the probes like this, but actually initiating the probe from the REST API, I don't know exactly. So we can also probably put you in contact with the person here. This person was a GSOC student last time.
I see.
So they're pretty good. They're not super, inexperienced. They actually have quite a bit of Go experience, but yeah, so like depending on how complicated, how much work is needed to get from here to there, I don't know. It probably also needs to be rebased, and certainly needs the new the tests that we weren't previously running. So Yeah, so like effectively we're adding some fields for disable culling that we didn't have previously, and yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so they added the main one is like there's probably a huge. See, he's adding a whole new controller. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, so it's because like the way we're doing probes now is there's two kinds of probes. You can just read through that issue, but yeah. So if you want to take a look at that, feel free to onboard yourself and help with that, because I think that's going to be a bunch of different people working together on that. But that's good. If you have time
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
look at it, that's great.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, something long term, so that I can slowly start into this and also manage the rest of the things.
Yep, cool, awesome. So I guess onboarding to the culling controller work, understand the design issue, then take a look at the existing PR. We can connect you to that other. Once we're confident that that PR is a sensible base, then we can connect you with that person as well.
Perfect, thanks.
If it's not a sensible base, then we can just start it again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Who else we got? So Milland, what have you got? Or is he not here anymore? Oh, no, he's there. Milland? Do you what? Have you worked on any specific tasks, or do you want specific tasks assigned to you?
Yeah.
Create specific JSON payload for backend. Okay. Who else are we missing? We're missing a few people. Okay, so we have. So is anyone here who has develop kind of serious kind of DevOpsy experience and like developer experience that can maybe look at this tilt thing as well? Like that is kind of complicated, but you know, if no one here, that's fine. I can take a look at it, but it's like, because I think this one blocks a lot of other development, so it's kind of like it's because certainly it was a pain when I was developing stuff. So like the ability to run just a local version of everything, including the validation, is amazing. So because otherwise it's pretty much impossible to run a validating webhook. Okay, cool. So if anyone has that, just speak up. If not, then I'll take a look.
Yeah, I can take a look on this as well after I finish my one. Yeah, we can talk on the offline.
Okay, so what was this? What's this person? Yeah, so that's actually important as well. So I didn't put it here, but the end-to-end testing is better make targets. So like this is actually what we designed on this one. So like effectively this issue is around better like doing more development, like having good make targets for each of the controllers. So right now we do have make targets, but they're not really for development. You know, there's no run local dev kind of one. And this is where effectively most of it's based around tilt, but some of it is there's a lot of information about this one, but effectively what it's saying is controller, there's like run dev, install local, which we don't have right now. I don't have an install local. Or at least we do, but I don't think it works perfectly. And then for the backend, similarly, the backend needs the controller running, so it's kind of, there's a bunch of layers of things.
Yeah, Matthew, my suggestion for this is one will be to take a look what we do in model registry, that to deploy the Y and the BF and the backend together in the kind controller for testing.
Yeah,
I
but
just
also
put the link here.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's for the front end though.
No, we do both together. Like we put on the Y because when you're doing integration test, we are testing the Y also with the backend deployed. And they could use this as a starting point.
Is this for development, for the make targets? Like
Yes, it's a make target that deploy on kind.
Local kind dev make targets. I don't know, it's a bit of a crazy word.
Yeah.
Has some existing work. Okay. Well, perfect. Well, probably these ones Eder and other people might need to look at, but if anyone else just, yeah, okay, cool. Because there's make targets for the controller, backend, and front end, and then you need them separately, and then we need to also have, once you've got those, it makes it a lot easier to do end-to-end tests as well, which is good.
Yep. That's why we developed those.
Actually, another thing we don't have right now is I don't think we have any Kubernetes manifests for front end. You know what I mean? Like, I think we just don't have any of that right now.
Yeah, this as well. We ping people, Model Registry team, probably Lucas, because he's working on this right now. Lucas and Griffin, you know both.
Actually, it's actually I'm gonna put this under overall because it is.
Yeah, it's more for overall,
and it's related to
but
both the front end and back end.
I will only do this after having the make targets.
Well, yeah, and this is like almost a requirement to get the make targets. So
Yep.
in some sense, and the end-to-end testing also obviously requires that. So like this is kind of in this order is probably the order you'd have to.
Yep.
Do. Okay, cool. Anyone else that we haven't hit yet who wants to do things? So Milland, what did you specifically wanted to look at? You want to work with Eder on that, or do you want to, or is that not necessary?
Yeah, so I can look at that. I also mentioned a issue which is actually for backend. So I will try to fix that.
For which one?
I have mentioned in the docs, yeah, this is it. It's actually on to deploy the backend on the like cluster or something. So like in the cluster with the make targets. So actually the backend Docker image is not built in because of the package which is the controller which it needs. So
Yes.
right now it is taking the locally, but so that's what's stopping it to build the Docker image. So yeah, this is
I think we talked about the fact that
issue.
the solution there was to move the make target make file outside of that folder, but you can also just go up a folder. I think it was like because the backend. Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it. Yeah, but yeah, I don't see any way because these are always meant to be versioned together. You know what I mean? They're always going to be versioned together. So you can kind of treat all three folders under the workspaces folder as one app. So it's kind of fine if they relative import each other. We could use the Go project file as it's called instead and have a Go project file at the root here. But effectively what he's talking about is that the backend has a Go mod that imports from the controller API because there's like it's up here like a redirect, but it's a replace. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, if you have a particular proposal there, I'm happy to listen, but I'm not sure what the alternative would be, because as long as you make the build file properly, it will still work. Or am I missing something? What was the problem? Like, why does it not work?
Actually, the build is the core build is there is no problem, but for the Docker image, while building the image, so it cannot like go.
Yeah, it's not allowed to recurse outside of it for security reasons. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, all you need to do is just make sure you CD up one folder before starting the make file. You know what I mean? So like you run your Docker context from here. Like your Docker build context should be this folder rather than this folder, which we might need to change, you know what I mean, in the make file. But like, you know, if you go make build this one, it would need to effectively CD itself up or just use a Docker context with ... at the beginning. Although, yeah. Also, yeah, no, I don't think there's any way to avoid that. Another option could be to just add a symbolic link here. Although I think Docker might understand symbolic links and might realize that that's a security risk, but I'm not sure. We'd have to check. So we could also just add a symbolic link in here that we can then use instead of the Go mod thing. Although that might make IDEs very confused, so let's maybe not do that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we're 15 minutes over, so people are again. Thank you for staying. Is anyone here who's got other tasks? So if you want to take a look at that and play around with it, feel free, Milland. Okay. Cool. Anyone else we haven't got a task for? We've got the other people. Yao. Okay, Arakim. So are you working on it as part of your job or as part of just for volunteering?
Yes, for volunteering.
Okay. So which side were you? Sorry. Oh, that's cool. I'll put you there. But let me. So Milan, by the way, were you new or you?
Yeah, I am new.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. Okay, cool. Not just new to coding. I mean, just like new to, working on notebooks. Okay. So Arkim, have you worked on anything
Akram.
yet? You're a new person or?
I worked on the issue that related to workspace JSON.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry about that if we ended up changing your PR quite a bit, but it was just kind of we had to refactor a lot, and it would have been a lot of work to ask on you to rebase.
Yeah, no
'Cause
problem. Thank you.
Effectively, you ended up with an impossible merge conflict. So, like,
Thank you.
yeah. Also, we didn't really specify the request that well to you guys as to what actually it needed to look like. But so you could you could look at the validation task, I guess. Although that's probably blocked by me creating the create one. But this validate JSON payloads, like you could experiment with as part of my PR, what I'm adding is, a create specific object, so we can add some validation for that. That does that says like actually this is interesting. So you could look at the workspace actions API thing. We don't really have a good specification for that, but like this, I guess we need to figure out whether there's a bit of design question, which is that we need to figure out whether we're using the controller to do that or whether we're using the backend. Probably the controller, but if we're using the controller, I don't know. I have to think about that. Okay. Okay. So what could we get you doing? So do you want to work on the front end or the back end right now?
I can work on both of them. I have experience in Go and React, but I think.
So maybe what we could do. This logs thing is kind of interesting though. I wonder if someone's already looking at that, I guess.
Yeah,
But
this is I was looking on this.
but from the API perspective, from like
yes, from both. She finished the front end and she's starting to work on the back end for the API.
Okay.
Mhm.
So say
Yeah.
like YAL is
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Matthew.
okay.
It's on the top one. It's not on pod template. Is that correct? Like YAL?
On
Yes.
this, okay.
To fetch pod template, I don't know if anyone.
But that's something you could look at, yeah. Like, so what's the API structure of this? Like, that's the problem. We need to kind of specify what that would be. So I mean, there is some complexity there because the pod template is not known until it's rendered by the controller. So into the status, into the spec of a stateful set. So interesting. That one's actually kind of complicated. Pod template though, where are we wanting a pod template? Or is that, no, that you mean workspace, workspace. That's what this is, right? Like front end is who? Who's doing the front end for this? I'm assuming that's what this is, right? Yeah. It was someone before it was Paulo, right? Paulo was doing that. Back end EVA. So like front end.
No, that was Liav, the YAML, yeah, the code editor, right?
Yeah, I think that's what this is. Yeah, and so like,
yeah, it was Liav, the front end.
Oh, Yav is so you're doing the back end of that, or no one's done the back end of that, right? Or it's just
no one.
Okay, cool. So that may be that's something you could potentially look at, which is pretty straightforward. Which is, I don't know, from a security perspective, I guess yeah, okay, that's fine. Adding, I don't know how the API should be structured, but like adding at least just a field that you can get. The workspace YAML. I wonder, yeah, it probably shouldn't be, yeah, it shouldn't be there by default. So like, but it should be something that the API can request, yeah, on the details page. That's actually interesting. We probably need to have a field for the details page, maybe. Is that something that the front end needs? You know, that flyover page for a specific workspace that like gives everything you would need for that?
You mean the first tab of the details that has a few fields?
that's part of it, but also just like the current backend has get workspace, which is for the overview table, and maybe some of that information is not. Do we want to make an API call for each time the user clicks a details page? You know what I mean? Or do we want to just have that returned in the list workspaces view? Because we currently have these kind of APIs. Some of them are not finished or done, but like, you know, because when you get a specific workspace or list one, you get that JSON object that we talked about, but that doesn't include things like the YAML of the workspace because that would probably be too big. So we would need to have like a new details.
Yeah, then we would need to do a different request for the details anyway, because the YAML is shown all the details tab as well.
I guess from everyone's perspective, do you want to do oh, actually, sorry, Jenny. I just saw you leaving. Oh, we should have assigned Jenny something. Hopefully Jenny had something to do.
Yeah, Jenny is yeah, I don't know if Jenny is there already on the third line.
Oh, is it on the third one? Oh, there's whoops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's helping in all the components with the material UI.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So what I was thinking is, so just a quick question for anyone who has an API kind of thought process. Do you think that we should be having a special parameter for get a specific workspace?
I would add a special parameter, even a special path for it.
That's what I mean, like path or HTTP parameter.
I would add a path like name/YAML or something like this, especially because this thing is done later.
And then we could have other ones as well, like for logs. Maybe we should have another category, like, because I think we should have a slash for actions, certain stuff. So we should probably have slash details or something, slash, you know.
Yeah, slash details is good, and we can have then logs and then YAML, this sort of stuff.
And then for the actions, we can have slash actions. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that probably makes sense. So let's the first one could be done by that's pretty straightforward. So the first one could be done by you, Akram. So let's add that as an API thing, which is okay, let's do that. So I'll just put it here. So effectively what we'd do is add a new HTTP path for getting YAML. So I'll put you as workspace. Backend can be Akram. Front end is, who was doing the front end for this one? Sorry, yeah. Probably. Yeah, it was.
I think Liav did that.
Oh, which one was this one?
Liav.
Liav. Live, yeah. Cool. Okay, so so the structure for this one, I'll write the doc here, which was that we will need a not pod template. The workspace details flyover has a works YAML viewer for the workspace. We need to show send the back end. So backend will need a new HTTP path, you know, like see current here. And what we'll need is so for example, I think it should be structured as this one. It would be a get probably, and it would be that slash details. Should be details, yeah, probably. Or should it be info? You want to be info or probably fine. And then YAML. Note there will be other details, paths, and also probably actions path in future at the same depth. Okay. That's good. So yeah, effectively, so if you're doing that one, Akram, like effectively that's pretty much just adding a new path to the thing. And what it would do is it just needs to, initially, we'll just have it very basically do a get on the thing, encoded the that's a good question. How should it return it structurally? I guess it can either just return a straight string.
Yeah, we should return a JSON with a string inside, like data, blah blah blah, and
rather than converting the YAML to JSON.
Yes.
Yes, probably. Although the problem is encoding that JSON YAML in a string could result in a lot of back escaping. You know what I mean? Maybe we should base 64 encode it or something. Like,
yep.
That might be the best idea. You know what I mean? Like encode it as a base 64 first. Possible JSON payload. We'll see like option 1, a normal envelope JSON with data field at root with YAML string as the data payload with a YAML, not YAML string, just with a YAML string of the workspace YAML as a data payload, or we could maybe like have a option 2, a nested JSON struct or map with a YAML B64 key that contains the workspace YAML as a base 64 encoded string to avoid needing crazy escape things and to allow compression in future. Actually, there's another question. Should we be Eder, what's your perspective on adding kind of a compression thing for the front end overall?
We can do on the front end or on the back end.
Well, the back end would have to support it, but like
we can do JZip, something like this.
Yeah, because that should be done at the API layer though, right?
Yeah, on the API layer we put a filter that you JZip with everything and it just works.
I'm gonna put that as a task to look at up here. Obviously, we're just adding hundreds of tasks at this point, but that's kind of more of an overall thing.
Let's put just a log for us, so don't forget.
Yeah, like I'll just put it here as backend, like backend plus front end gzip other compression. Like effectively, just we can possibly automatically use gzip for large responses or something, you know what I mean? This is where the API returns a compressed content type sometimes. I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe can be requested. I guess the question is like, should it need to be requested by the caller? I don't know. Okay. Because it can be more efficient if it like, just returns based off the size that it knows it's going to return, if it's going to be a, Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Anyone else not have tasks? Okay, I've seen some other names here that I haven't heard before. Mohammed, yeah, someone here. Are you able to contribute code, or are you just interested in listening? Hello? Maybe not. Muted? Maybe? I can't hear you if you're talking. Oh, you're very, very quiet now. Maybe?
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Yes, I'm interested in coding also. I have some Go experience.
Okay, cool.
So I can contribute.
Okay. I'll just put that. I forgot to write your thing, Akram. Working on the backend API for the workspace YAML handler, I guess. Okay, cool. And so for you, Mohammed, what kind of stuff? Like, you don't have to be assigned a task today. I'm just. Is there any specific thing that you want to work on? So like,
Yes, for now I can start with Swagger.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah. So, Do you have experience with that previously, like building Swagger things or not? Because I think Eder
Yes,
wanted
yes, I have.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. So if
Yes, I have some.
do you want to like do you have time to like fill him in on what maybe he should investigate or?
Yes, I have time to investigate.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is, you can look around at the backend REST API, I guess, and just see what might work. If that's a cool task, yeah. So,
Yeah, Mohammed, my suggestion is just, I don't know if you are in our Slack, just open a thread there, because I also did some research. Maybe we can combine the notes and do the design for this.
yeah. So let's.
Oh,
So yeah, are
okay.
you in the CNCF Slack?
Yes, I'm in the CNCF Slack.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess if Eder has some notes, do you have them publicly, Eder?
No, it's just on my my Obsidian, but I can place there.
Yeah. So like review ideas from Eder. Okay, I'll put this under here actually, which is working on Swagger specification. This is going to be kind of complicated because we don't really specify what each API does, but yep. For backend API. So from Eder about how we might do this. And then I guess like, so let me say like start thread on Kubeflow notebooks Slack channel. Okay. And then I guess just like investigate the have you looked at the code base, Mohammed, of the backend or not really?
No, not really.
You should definitely, yeah, that's probably where you should start after that, which is just kind of take a look at it, understand how it's using normal HTTP kind of stuff from Go, but nothing special. It's using fully the base packages, nothing on top. The notebooks backend to get some ideas of how, because we don't have any perfect design ideas yet of how to automate the generation of a Swagger UI.
Yeah, my initial idea, if you want to put a note here, is to use Swaggle, swag to this.
His idea is to use, what is it called? Swaggle?
Swag, GGO. And is slash swag.
That one?
Yep, this one.
Okay, cool. I'll put that in.
But Mohammed, I'm more than open to explore other options.
And does this require changing how we specify our things or not really?
No, it's just based on the comments.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then you put comments on the endpoints if you scroll a little down. Yep. There.
Ah, yes. Also, actually,
I only stop it when and how we do composition of types, but we can fix. We can investigate this together, Mohammed.
There's another one thing as well that
Okay, thanks.
That's really good. So that absolutely investigating those. So just get your hands in the backend code base first as well. But
Mohammed, I'm more than open. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, more than open to anything. Like we just need to define something that doesn't change a lot of the API and just do comments, and it's the best option for Golang.
Okay, right.
So yeah, feel free to suggest other ideas. But
yeah. If you have experience in doing this, yeah.
So the other thing I just wanted to highlight that I think you've already done it in the model registry, but that and I'm going to be proposing the change I won't be doing the change in my PR, but I think we need to do it Eder, which is that the envelopes I think need to be, because I've started to get nil pointer dereference errors. So I think we need to internal, what's this one? It's I think it's actually under the API. Yeah, so so right now the envelopes are using the actual type internally. They need to become pointers internally.
Yeah, I was a generic there.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if you're allowed to force a generic to be a pointer. I don't think you can, but what I'm saying is we should make our data object always a pointer.
Let me check here what I do.
because this is the generic here, like this is the envelope D any. I don't think you can specify any as being a pointer, or maybe you can. I'm not super familiar. But effectively the idea would be that because the problem is that Go will sometimes copy objects as you pass them into functions otherwise, if you don't make it a pointer that you're passing in. So it's just a bit safer for it to potentially.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, you are not. Yeah, I see your point. In model, I should not use a pointer as well.
You are using a pointer, right?
No, we are not.
In some of them you are. I know in some of them you
no,
are.
in some years, but we are using a generic only.
I wonder
As
if we can
text
force
vector.
D to be a pointer. I don't think it's not. I don't think there's like. Maybe generics in 22 actually do have more features, kind of like, you know. Because the thing is, there's
Like
no
to have a subtype of to force the generic to be a subtype of a type, right? That would be a pointer.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter though. It's just like all that really matters is we just make sure the envelopes all do it. But it's like I wonder if we can actually make it fail the build if you try. You know what I mean? Like it's what I wonder. But
I just recall one thing that we probably need to add also to the envelope is this sort of metadata here to add, but I can add this later to add
but the metadata was
and this sort.
almost never populated on the other one. My other thing about the data envelope is that we should definitely have an implied kind of V1 or something spec. Like I don't know how we structure it, but like probably what I would love to have is a metadata field that says the type of the object that was returned. You know what I mean? Like, like so that like obviously Swagger will be doing that already, but like that's, you know, so that data isn't just an opaque idea. You know what I mean? Like that it's more like a protobuf almost. You know, you have protobufs, you have the type. But I don't know, maybe not. We could also use protocol buffers instead of JSON. I don't know, but
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's fine. But there might be a way of declaring any. I don't know if there's a way of declaring kind of attributes like that. You know what I mean? But I'm not sure. Anyway, but even if not, we still need to. So there's also problems, which is that technically this is a pointer. Like, you know, all slices are pointers. So kind of. So because they inherently are implemented as a pointer to an array internally, usually.
Yep.
So this is a pointer as well in some already, but this one's not. So like but I'm not doing it in my PR because it's just such a mess to redo. Okay, cool. So Akram, you can definitely do that. Okay, who else we got? Anyone else want to say anything? Joel, I see a Joel in this that I haven't seen before. In the chat. If not, then you can. Okay, cool. Okay, anyone else got anything? Anyone else got anything they need me to quickly look at or anything like that? So what I'm working on will be the create specific JSON payloads. I guess I will also probably do some stuff for the 1.0 cut, but okay, cool. Other than that, I will. Feel free. Anyone else got anything? I'll pause. I'll stop the recording. Otherwise, people can stay around if they would like. Thank you for coming, everyone.